Hey guys, welcome back. I hope you are having an amazing day. Let's get right into the stories. The first one is an entitled People story. I couldn't believe it when I got the letter in the mail. After months of searching, I had finally found my dream home, a beautiful house on a cliff overlooking the ocean. The real estate agent had assured me multiple times that this house was not part of the local homeowners association community. That was one of the main reasons I bought it. I didn't want to deal with nosy neighbors or restrictive homeowners association rules. The letter stated that I was being sued by the homeowners association for obstructing the ocean view of other residents. Apparently, my new two-story home partially blocked the view of the ocean from a couple houses below mine. I was furious. How could they claim my non-homeowners association house was violating homeowners association rules? I immediately called my real estate agent, who seemed just as shocked as I was. She promised to look into it right away. A few days later, she called me back. Apparently, there was some kind of loophole that allowed the homeowners association to enforce rules on my property, even though I wasn't an official member. Something about my lot being originally part of the homeowners association community years ago. It was ridiculous. I decided I wasn't going to take this lying down. I hired a lawyer and we began building our defense. We discovered that the homeowners association had known about my plans to build a two-story home on that lot before I even bought it. In fact, they had tried to buy the lot themselves to prevent anyone else from building there. When that failed, they resorted to suing me instead. My lawyer dug up records showing the homeowners association board discussing ways to block my purchase of the property. We found angry emails from homeowners association members complaining about my monstrosity of a house, ruining their views. It was clear the homeowners association had a vendetta against me simply for buying this house. In the end, we were able to get the lawsuit dismissed. The judge ruled that the homeowners association had no legal right to enforce rules on my non-homeowners association property. Plus, our evidence proved the homeowners association was specifically targeting me out of malice. I wish I could say this was the end of the story, but the homeowners association president just wouldn't let it go. Over the next few months, I caught homeowners association members trespassing on my property to take photos. I even noticed someone messing with my new sprinkler system in the middle of the night. The final straw came when I woke up to find my entire house TP'd, with toilet paper strewn all over my roof and yard. The homeowners association had officially declared war. Instead of getting angry, I decided to fight back, legally. My lawyer helped me file a countersuit against the homeowners association for harassment, trespassing, and property damage. We subpoenaed their internal records, uncovering even more proof of their coordinated attacks against me. The tables had turned. Now the homeowners association was on the defensive, struggling to justify their shameful actions. After months of legal wrangling, the homeowners association finally gave in. They settled out of court and had to pay me a massive fine for all the trouble they had caused. The homeowners association president even had to resign in disgrace. And my property value shot up now that buyers knew I had gotten the best of the infamous homeowners association. Served them right for messing with me. I'm just glad I stood my ground against the homeowners association bullies. My beautiful home remains happily homeowners association free, and I can now enjoy my stunning ocean view in peace and quiet without any nosy neighbors causing drama. This homeowner certainly won't be intimidated by an angry homeowners association ever again. The next one is a pro-revenge story. Let's start this story by saying this happened 12 years ago. I'm now happily married with 3 children and regret absolutely nothing. I was with my new ex for 3 years. I had noticed that she was being extremely controlling. I was expected to give every little detail of my day and tell her my schedule in advance, and if I deviated from that, she would be very upset. She chalked it up to just bad feelings she was having and shrugged it off as her paranoia from past relationships of infidelity. I had never once cheated or strayed, and I never gave her a reason to act like this. It felt unbecoming of my fiancé to act in such a way. Now this is where it gets juicy. After she had asked for my schedule to make plans, as mine tends to be more hectic than hers, I noticed she was texting someone. In my line of work, if I put in more than 40 hours, I have the ability to take time off at will, as long as the work is completed at a later date. I was very good friends with a brother, and we still are. We laugh about this to this day, and he actively reminds her of it. I messaged him stating I wanted to do something special for her a little bit earlier than our anniversary to make sure it was a special surprise. They both worked in the same fabrication facility. He was a fabricator, and she was a shipping manager. He was kind enough to let me know her schedule. That's where the discrepancy falls into place. Without my knowledge, she was foregoing overtime. She worked 12-hour shifts Monday through Friday, with the exception of Wednesday, when she would only work half a day. She had been taking Wednesdays off right around the time that she started getting extremely controlling. Luckily for me, I had stacked several days of leisure time up, so taking a Wednesday off for me was not an issue. A few days go by and Wednesday's here. I put on my work gear and leave for work. I was expecting her to leave as our apartment complex had 2 exits on the same road, and I could see directly across from a shopping center, so I parked my car near the back and waited. After about an hour, I notice a very specific red Mustang with a specific decal on the back window. It was her cousin by marriage. I had also done my due diligence to take an old laptop, which we kept on our desk in an office area with a full view of the living room, bedroom door, and bathroom, plus the kitchen. I had set it up for remote access and had it alert me when the webcam noticed movement. Giving her the benefit of the doubt, I thought he may be dropping something off, or coming over to assist her with something, as her family sometimes does. Sure enough, a message came through, so I remote into my laptop. He walks through the door without skipping a beat. She unbuttons his shirt and begins kissing him. I created a URL link for the live stream, and as she was preoccupied, we had a family group text and a friend group text. They were both part of it, but at the current time, they were currently indisposed and didn't look at their phones. They didn't even wait. They could have gone to the bedroom, but no. They decided to get intimate right there on the couch. I sent the link off to the friend group chat and the family group chat. Within minutes, I'm getting calls non-stop from friends and family alike. There was no turning back. She was getting blown up, but she was ignoring her phone. Not until the 4th or 5th call came through did they decide to take a break. For context, the state I live in allows recording of personal property regardless of occupancy. I was the only one on the lease. She wasn't allowed to be on the lease because of poor credit. The call she had picked up was from her cousin's mother, who she was involved with. She answers the phone on speaker, and I kid you not, the first words out of his mother's mouth were, "Stop being with my son." They both became rigid, and she began to stutter over her words, saying, "What are you talking about?" etc. The mother then divulged that there was a live feed of them sent out by me to her family. She grabbed every pillow off the couch and covered herself up. The cousin staggered off, trying to put on his pants and shoes, just to trip himself up and hit his head off my coffee table, leaving it with a divot. By this time, I had made my way to the front of the apartment complex. I was there to greet the adulterer as he came out of the front exit. He froze and began to cry, apologizing profusely. I'm not going to lie. What happened afterwards wasn't my best moment, and I nearly got into legal trouble if it weren't for the fact that he was trespassing on private property. Let's just say I had a cast for 6 weeks and he wasn't in any family photos for months. I went up to the apartment, where she was now fully clothed and crying inconsolably. I asked her if it was snot or something else on her face. Then I told her not to answer because it didn't matter anyway. I gave her 1 hour to remove all her belongings, as, again, everything in the apartment was mine except for clothes, some makeup, and a few kitchen utensils. Her mother would not let her move in, as she was just filled with embarrassment. Same for her brothers, and the cousin's mother kicked her son out. Rumors spread around our town very quickly, and for a lack of better words, she was untouchable. The next one is a petty revenge story. A few years ago, my girlfriend and I used to live in a small building with only a handful of apartments, and a tiny garden we shared with the rest of the residents. My neighbor was this guy everyone hated, constantly blaring music, leaving trash in front of his door, having loud drunken grill parties every weekend, and ignoring all requests to keep it down, citing his rights to be loud. You know the one. Our window had a direct view of the garden where he hosted these grill parties, despite numerous requests to let other people use the space too, and one day I noticed he had a similar sound system to ours. It required no authentication for a Bluetooth connection, so I wrote a program that would connect to his speakers the moment he turned them on and played the same 15 seconds of explicit sounds on repeat. He kept taking the speakers for servicing, which obviously didn't help, so he bought a newer set. His new sound system could connect to Wi-Fi. Since he made the mistake of loudly announcing his Wi-Fi password to his guests regularly, I connected to it, realized he never changed the default router password, and wrote another program that connected automatically and kept rotating his admin password. I even set up my old laptop to run this program continuously. It also kept streaming explicit content to his TV at random intervals, printed explicit images whenever his printer came online, and either abruptly changed the volume of his speakers every 47 minutes or kept subtly decreasing it over several hours. I saw people from our ISP at his apartment several times trying to fix his network to no avail. The moment they reset his Wi-Fi, my program was already there, changing the admin password. After about 3 months of this, they gave him a new router with a new password, which he never changed and promptly announced to his friends the following weekend. Instead of his usual blaring music, we listened to him yell and smash kitchenware during the last few weeks before he finally moved out. It was like music to our ears nonetheless. The next one is a malicious compliance story. Recently, a meetup with some old schoolmates jogged my memory about a bit of cheeky compliance from my days as a student in computer engineering. I was a part of a computer engineering study association in the Netherlands. Wondering what a study association is? Well, it's like a fraternity for a specific study, but not all about parties and drinking. It's more about organizing enlightening guest lectures, assisting teachers with study-related events, and helping first-year students navigate the curriculum. One of our annual traditions was hosting a weekend getaway for first-year students just before the school year commenced. This event aimed to help them connect with their peers before classes began, all while having some fun and maybe convincing them to join our association. Most freshman computer engineering students weren't big on drinking and partying, so our weekend typically consisted of enjoyable campus activities and a cozy evening campfire. On the opposite end of the spectrum was our sister study association. Let's call them Other ASO. They represented the students in less tech-related computer studies within our faculty, like IT management, security, front-end design, and so on. Compared to us, Other ASO had a massive member count. For the first-year students, they organized a week filled with parties, alcohol, and party-related games. Fortunately, they were located in the main university building in the neighboring city, so we rarely crossed paths. Each year, Other ASO received the contact list of first-year students starting at the main university building, while we got the list of first-year computer engineering students. Our list had about 80 students, while theirs had around 300. We would contact these students via mail and phone to promote our first-year weekend, and we usually managed to gather a cozy group of 10, 15 students to join us. However, disaster struck when the faculty accidentally sent both lists to both associations. We decided to meet with Other ASO and politely ask them to focus on their students to avoid poaching from our weekend. Their response, in essence, was, "It's not our problem that you guys only promote to computer engineering students. We are a faculty-wide event, and we promote to the entire faculty, which now includes computer engineering." This was disheartening. We lacked the resources and manpower to compete with their large-scale promotions. It seemed like we'd be lucky to get 5 students to sign up. As we brainstormed our next move, I suggested, why not take their advice? If they claim to be faculty-wide, why don't we become one ourselves? What followed was a thing of beauty. We designed a new website promoting our event as the ultimate weekend getaway for all computer-related studies. We crafted new flyers and worked tirelessly to be the first to reach the incoming students before Other ASO could send out their promotions. The fallout was swift, taking only half a day after we launched our campaign. Other ASO called us frantically, demanding to know why their first-year students were already signing up for another faculty-wide event. We calmly responded that we were merely following their example, and were expanding our reach faculty-wide as well. After an awkward pause, they asked if we could stick to our lane. We reiterated our initial proposal. They promote to their studies, and we promote to ours. They accepted. In the end, we sent out a message suggesting that students studying at the main building might find it more enjoyable to attend Other ASO's week away, and vice versa. It turned out to be a fantastic first-year weekend getaway for everyone involved. The next one is an entitled People story. I own a hot tub repair and maintenance company, and one of the services we offer is hot tub water refills, where we truck in the water to fill the tub if the well at the house can't produce enough or if there is a requirement. One of the wells at a home ice service went dry, this happens, and it has a backup 500-gallon cistern. So the property manager asked if I could fill their tank. I said, yep, no problem. By the way, the well still does produce water, it's just not as much as needed. So usually, if you can augment the tank, then the well will recover, and you are good. At the time, my truck was in the shop, so I borrowed my parents' SUV, hooked up my water trailer, filled up the tank, and then transported it to their house. I would have normally declined, but the property manager was desperate, and I'm the only company in town with water transport equipment. They are all good to go, and Karen is set to arrive that evening. Just a day and a half later, the house has run out. The property manager called me and asked if there was anything I could do. Probably if I could take a look. It's Sunday. The bulk water fill location is closed and I had no truck ability to tow. For what it's worth, the property manager offered a new house to them to stay at, but the entitled parents didn't want a different house. So I took a small load of water over with my 1958 Jeep. I filled my small tank and trailer at my house and brought over 275 gallons. This was a total pain in the ass. Once I arrived, the entitled grandmothers came out and immediately started asking why I didn't bring 500 gallons and when I'm gonna go get them some more because apparently they had 18 people staying there and they all needed showers. It's a pretty big mountain house. She told me that they expect me to drive round the clock delivering water for their entire stay. By the way, when I can't fill at the bulk station and I can't use my full-size trailer, this is a total pain in the ass. It takes 40 minutes to fill the tank at my house, 20 minutes to drive, and 40 minutes to transfer. 18 people consume a ton of water. For reference, if I had my truck and full-size trailer, the whole process would only take 30 minutes. This was all because they wanted to stay in this house to have their ideal vacation, and any other house or houses would simply not do. Entitled grandmother Karen then said it was my job to supply them with everything they needed for their vacation. Otherwise, she would make sure I got fired. I was pretty friendly to this point, so I should ensure my schedule was clear for the next week to support them, and that I should go rent a truck to be able to haul water to them. I honestly couldn't believe it. I was being a professional and friendly person who was just trying to help out, but after those remarks, I couldn't take it. So I clarified with the two mother hens about what I was and wasn't going to do. Also, their adult kids were looking pretty ashamed at this point. I said that was not happening as I do not work for the management company. I'm a third-party contractor who works on hot tubs. I was doing the property manager a favor by helping them out. The two entitled grandmothers then threatened to tell the property management company to cancel my contract if I don't help them, and implied that as someone delivering water for a business, I'd need the money. 2. I told them to go ahead. My full-time job is in cloud technology, and this is a side business for me. I literally couldn't care less, and I was still not going to drive round the clock to do that when they could move to another property. There was some more back and forth, but I finally told them that they would be stupid to try and stay here, that their experience they wanted to have in this house just wasn't going to happen. I went home, had a couple of beers, and enjoyed the rest of my Sunday. Apparently, the next morning, they moved to another house. Also, the property manager gave them a full refund, so their trip was free. The next one is an entitled parents story. Recently, I've come to learn that T, my stepmother, who has only been around for 8 years and whom I don't care for, stole $768 from me, 32M. When I spoke to my father, all he could do was complain about how many problems this is causing him, the stress on his heart, and how it's damaging his relationship. He didn't apologize for what she did. He just made the phone call about himself. For a phone call that lasted an hour and a half, I probably spoke for 15 minutes or less. I told him we could talk about it when I get there and figure something out. He then suggested flat out that I can help him work to make back the money. Yes, sure, let me perform physical labor to earn the money your wife stole from me and pocket you another $900. That sounds great. I was coming in from out of state for a different reason and already planning on staying at the house. This is my childhood home, with my room still furnished how I left it, like my clothes are still in the dresser for when I visit. Plane tickets purchased, and I sent him the confirmation date. The next day, he then texts me that I'm no longer welcome at the house, that it's time I grow up and seek healthcare somewhere else, and that he just needed to know where to send the money. This throws all of my appointments into the void, and I had to cancel and rebuy plane tickets because of it, and now I'm staying with other family. I know he did it to protect my stepmother from the confrontation of facing me in person. She crumbles to dust if people raise their voices around her or curse too much, even casually. For reference, this woman is in such need of therapy that I cleaned and rearranged the kitchen one morning, and T started crying and claimed I was kicking her out of the house by making it not hers. All I did was do dishes and organize and clean the spice cabinet and pantry. He keeps saying that it's for his health, that I'm not there, and that it's too much stress. I have my own money and transportation and provide my own food. The duration of the trip was 2 weeks. I block him and my stepmother on everything. I ask my family to no longer speak to my dad about me. This is all after a lifetime of abuse and narcissistic behavior from my father. Now I hear through the grapevine that he's shocked, just couldn't believe I'd do this to him. My sibling already no longer speaks to him because of similar things, and him telling my brother to grow up and quit being a pussy, after my sibling set a boundary with him. I had warned him before that if he kept up in his ways, casually racist, homophobic, blatantly inflammatory, he'd have no one to take care of him when he's older, and he didn't listen. If that wasn't enough, my late mom's last words to him were, "Don't let the family fall apart." Way to go, Dad. Thank you for watching. I would really appreciate it if you could like the video and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. We'll see you again tomorrow.